the New Apocalyptics, who reacted against the social poetry of the 1930s autumn generation. Now, between 1918 and 1939, a series of poetic movements originated in England, reacting against the breakdown of social order, political instability around the First World War. In 1930s, for instance, W.H. Auden, Christopher Isherwood, C.D. Lewis, they offered criticism of a post-war Western civilization, and they were trying to talk about social. They were talking about they were writing social poetry where they were criticizing the government. They were criticizing the apathy of the government related to the war victims and so on. So poets like Auden blamed the government, and the new apocalyptics were actually a group of poets who was a group of poets who came out in reaction to the social poetry of Auden and Isherwood and others. Because they realize that poetry cannot be only social criticism. Then poetry loses its value to some extent. It can't be only seen as, there's a difference between poetry and drama. Drama is something which has always been seen as a tool of social change or reform. And but poetry is something which is very individual. It's very subjective. It is something which is all about feelings. It's about ideas, creativity, and about impulses and so on. So the group of the new apocalyptics were a small group of British poets who reacted against the social criticism in the poetry of Auden and Isherwood, and they were inspired by the notion of surrealism and by D.H. Lawrence's last work, which came out, which was called Apocalypse in 1931. And they emphasized the myth, like Yeats and Blake and others, and they said that they reacted against this kind of poetry, which was only talking about political and social issues. And in fact, they were therefore called also the neo-romantic, in some ways. Henry Treece was the founding member who defined this movement as a wholeness, a new romanticism, a broader humanism, going back again to a humanist, a kind of a romantic impulses, talking about exploration of the self and not criticizing the social and economic depression of 1930s and so on. Um, so the apocalyptic poets were Henry Treece, James Findlay Henry, Dorian Cook, Normal MacGregor, and others. They remained to be, Dylan Thomas remained to be an outside support, and they remained, there was a strong influence of Yeats and a strong influence of Lawrence in their poetry. Three major anthologies came out from these poets. The first one is called The New Apocalypse, 1939. Then the second one is called The White Horseman, came out in 42. And the third one, The Crown and the Sickle, 43. And what is this apocalypse? The vision of apocalypse was actually to say that there is a revelation of a dreadful future, but we are therefore there is a myth of transition, that we are in a transition stage, and therefore we are, there will be, this will be followed by a good, restoration of goodness once again. So it is like after every once everything seems to be dreadful and chaotic, and there will be a second coming, of Christ, which Yeats talks about, for instance. Or this idea of the apocalypse will be over, and there'll be there is a vision of something good which will come after this. So the apocalyptic vision is common to Yeats's poems and Blake's Everlasting Gospel and Lawrence's Apocalypse. And these poets, Henry Treece and others, were very much influenced by this vision and talking about something very mythical, something myth. The whole idea of myth is actually how looking at the age as not something which is only progressing in a linear way, but where we are also going back to the past, and it's almost as if something is, it's a circular motion in some ways, where the mythification is actually an idea of looking back to the past and seeing how there are echoes of the past in the present and in the future. An example of the White Horseman, which is the second anthology which had come out, Henry Treece. You can see the influence of Lawrence so much. First, Henry Treece writes, "And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, went forth conquering and to conquer." Now, D.H. Lawrence in his Apocalypse had written, "The rider on the white horse, who is he then? He is the royal me. He is my very self, and his horse is the whole mana of a man." What is mana? Mm, the spiritual life force. Let's say whole mana of a man. He is my sacred ego, called into the cycle of action by the Lamb and riding forth to conquest, and the conquest of the old self for the birth of a new self. So there is a vision of something new. There is, instead of looking at the future as something which is completely destroyed by war, by capitalism, by industrialization, by mechanical age, they are looking forward to a future which will probably be, where you can, again, there'll be some restoration of goodness, and it will be where the old self will be conquered by the new self, and we'll be able to, as human beings, also be able to have control over our id, and therefore our ego would be able to, so we'll be able to have control over our id, and be able to balance between the id and the super ego. The ego will be able to balance between these. So these are the ways in which Dorian Cook, Normal MacCraig, and others, and Treece and others, were looking at poetry as something which is more to talk about the self, self exploration, self revelation. Yeah. So the manifesto that came out, the Apocalyptic Manifesto, which came out in 38, is very clear. The man was in need of greater freedom, economic no less than aesthetic, from machine and mechanistic learning, thinking. So we cannot, just because we are victims of a mechanical age, we cannot be only held victim to it, and we cannot keep on only criticizing it. We need to get free from this. That no existent political system, left or right, no artistic ideology, surrealism, or political school of order was able to provide this freedom, according to them. And that is why the machine age has exerted too strong an influence on art and has prevented the individual development of man. So that myth, as a means of reintegrating the personality, had been neglected and despised. So these were the ways in which the poems were written with this vision. But naturally, after three volumes of three anthologies which came out after that, after the Second World War, somewhere, the poets were not so positive anymore, because after the First World War, people thought that something could still be, an order could still be restored. But somewhere, the poets after Second World War were completely disillusioned by the reality, and moved on in different directions. Tree started writing prose romances, Fraser became a critic, and so on. And also the poems, in their style, also is something very, very simple, with going back to the, going back to the 18th century kind of iambic pentameter, iambic tetrameter, and there is a particular order that they were trying to impose in poetry, because the outside world is chaotic. The outside world, there is so much of disorder, that they try to impose some order in the poetry itself, which could then impose that order onto the world. Foster also, Ian Foster talks about that in his essay, where he talks about this art as an autonomous realm, and the artists need to impose that order onto the world in, but somehow all that, after the Second World War, things, people were not so positive anymore. They were completely disillusioned, and people and poets started moving in different directions. Robert Conquest, who edited New Lines anthology, argued that the poets of 1940s had excess of id, who refused to abandon a rational structure and comprehensible language. Neil Concoran in English poetry considered the poetry of the new apocalypse as fraught, emphatic, obsessive. So there are very different views which come out from the critics about the new apocalyptic poets. Some think that it is completely, impulses, irrational impulses, and which come out in the form of excess of id. And some feel that it is actually very fraught and conflicted and obsessed with certain kinds of ideas. A.E. Salmon, however, praised the new apocalypse as a new movement that responded to the wartime need for emotional support. So some poetry that is required in times of war, at least something which will soothe you, something which will calm you, will pacify you, rather than something which is only going to agitate you with criticism and social criticism and politics and so on.